Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, November 27th, the last Wednesday of November, and the beginning of the madness that we call the Christmas holiday season. I'm your host, Shawn King, joined here in studio as always by the lovely Alessandra.
Hi, ciao a tutti.
Va bene. I'm still doing it wrong.
Not yet, not yet.
Well, when you say ciao tutti bene, right?
Yeah.
What's my response?
Bene, grazie, tutto bene.
Bene, grazie.
Just repeat what I said. Tutto bene. It's easy. Repeat.
That's how you Italians can talk over each other, because you're just saying the same damn thing.
Yeah, we talk over each other. We don't listen other people. We just want to talk.
Just repeating each other. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking, we're going to be talking of Thanksgiving. By the way, American Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving tomorrow to all of my American friends. Hopefully all you guys are traveling safely and seeing family and have a good, wonderful Thanksgiving. It's also Hanukkah tomorrow, which apparently is the last time that we'll all be alive, that Hanukkah and Christmas will overlap. So it's Hanukkah giving, or Thanksgiving. I'm not sure. just don't know.
Too complicated.
Exactly. Well, Hanukkah is a pretty complicated. Yeah, celebration is the right word. And I've never really understood, even though the Your Mac Life official Jew has explained it to me a couple times over the years. I'm still not getting the whole thing, but it's fine. So, Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. So, happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. Happy Thanksgiving to our American friends. For everyone else in the world, it's Thursday. Which is, it's something we don't think about here in North America. Certainly a lot of Americans don't think about it. But there's no tradition in Europe or in Italy of eating turkey in general, is there?
No, absolutely not.
You guys don't have turkey for Christmas?
No, never turkey. Well, they eat it sometimes, but it's not a typical food for a certain celebration.
Not for like Italian Independence Day or
no,
something
nothing.
like that. Is there an Italian food that you do eat on special occasions, like Christmas or I don't know what other 8,000 saint days that you guys have?
Well, because there are many little regions in Italy, every region has its own special food.
That's right, yeah.
So there's nothing that is typical for all Italy. For Christmas we have panettone. Probably that's the only thing that is common everywhere in Italy. But every little area has its own special food. So it's
I keep forgetting that, and I think one of the things I've learned from you about Italy is that we think of Italy as, and we've talked about this before, as one homogeneous country. But you Italians don't.
No,
you think of yourselves as not just regions, but as regions as in provinces or states here in Canada or the U.S., but as even cities, like Florentines.
Yeah.
Aren't part.
We are not friends with the neighbors. Absolutely not. Nobody is friend with the neighbors.
We were watching what I found a really interesting show on some travel channel over the weekend about Rome and all the amazing history of that city. And Rome is very much a world city. And Alessandra had no interest in it. And I was asking her about it. She said, what did you say when I asked, don't do Torinos, people from Turin? Do you feel pride in the accomplishments of Rome? And what did you tell me?
There's no pride. I love history, so I love Rome, and I've been there many times, and I enjoyed it very much. But there's no pride because we don't feel like the same country, and nobody cares about that. For me, it's just my interest in history. So it's a different feeling.
Arcsign asks in the IRC chat room, the Harvest Festival is also in the world, right? What is it in Italy? Do you have a Harvest Festival in Italy or things like that?
No, not something like that. No, it's not.
But you do have regional festivals.
There
So
are
there's-
regional little Catholic celebrations, so maybe they celebrate a specific saint. There is a mass, there is something that is all around the church, but nothing similar to the Thanksgiving or celebrating the harvest or something like that.
Interesting. That's certainly the reason for Thanksgiving. Actually, it's very funny that I always tell folks the story of when I first moved down to Nashville, and around this time, the employees of the company are wishing everyone Happy Thanksgiving. I said, thanks. I'm Canadian, though. We had ours a month ago. And they all be like, oh, yeah, I've heard something about that. And because I'm a mean guy, I would then tell them, yeah, all of our holidays in Canada are a month early. So Thanksgiving is in October. Christmas is in November. New Year's is in December. Easter is in March. Valentine's Day is in January. And at least 3/4 of people were going, really? I did not know that. So, yeah.
They believed you.
They believe me. A, because they're not that bright.
Yeah, but the way you speak, you inspire trust. So
exactly.
be careful with that. Yeah, don't use it too much.
Because I will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Thanksgiving, and Alessandra and I, and one of the interesting things that she obviously has no concept of what this Black Friday thing is. It's only just catching on here in Canada. Obviously, it's been a big deal in the States for many, many years. And we got to agree, it's out of control. It's utterly insane. We are seeing advertisements here in Canada, I'm sure certainly in the States. Black Friday started on Monday. There are Black Friday sales going on in the local malls here already. There will be stores open on American Thanksgiving. I think the only major retailer closed on Thanksgiving is Apple. Apple, as far as I know, is the only major retailer that's closing almost all of its stores. 99% of Apple stores are closed. The Fifth Avenue store never closes. It's open Christmas, New Year's, everything. And there's a couple other, one in Hawaii is also open for tourists who break their laptops. And you know what? If you're in Hawaii on vacation, wait, okay?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have brought the damn laptop to begin with. So I got no sympathy for you. So that, and I've been telling her about, what the insanity is. I said, we'll turn the news on at lunchtime on Friday, watch the local news, and every single station will have a story about some sort of Black Friday incident in America. Hopefully it'll be minor, but as it gets more and more insane, it gets more and more dangerous. We'll hear a story, at the very least, of some sort of stampede at a Walmart or a Target or a store like that. Maybe, if we're lucky, we'll hear, not lucky, but we'll hear about a stabbing. And worst case scenario, someone will get shot in one of these insane lines on Black Friday. And the thing is, you're not really going to get a deal unless you're the first guy in line for that Samsung LCD 60-inch TV. The deals aren't all that great. There's actually better deals sometimes to be had later in the holiday buying season. It's just this insanity of Black Friday. I will not participate in it. I don't go to the malls the best of times. I've been to a mall more times since we've been living here in Vancouver 2 months than I have ever in my entire life. If only because that's where the supermarket is. With good cheap veggies that I'm eating far too many of, by the way. Arcsign actually has a autumn festivals in Italy from the New York Times travel magazine. Let's see what this pulls up for us. Because, as Alessandra said, they're going to be regional. They may not have them in Torino, but they might have them in other places. And I've reached my limit of articles to read in the New York Times, so screw them. Where's I going with this? So first of all, I'm parched. And I want to. I've said this for years that no good beer comes in cans, and I was proven wrong because my favorite beer in the whole entire world is Tuborg. It's the beer that God drinks. Excuse me. Oh, that's so good.
Would you like a glass to make it more special?
That looks cooler out of the bottle. It was an advertisement. And you, what beverage are you imbibing in?
I have wine with a special glass.
No. Show the bottle.
Not the bottle. Here it is. It's Italian.
Note the bottle's is within each easy reach. Wow. What kind of wine is it?
It's Nero d'Avola from South Italy. It's very good. Delicious.
Okay. Brian Monroe says she is Italian, so wine makes sense. I'm Canadian, beer makes sense.
Yeah,
He's absolutely right.
Yeah, that's the way we are made.
So we're going to talk about Thanksgiving a little later in the show, and Christmas too. Obviously, we're less than a month away, and we're going to have a bunch of gift ideas for you guys. On next week's show, we'll talk about a couple of things that we personally have in our hot little hands. We'll also talk about. I've got a bunch of lists of different things that I would suggest to you guys. And as always, every year, I'd love what you guys are going to buy for yourself, for your significant other, for your kids, for your holiday Santa at work. Do they have that at work? Sorry, do they have that in Italy? A secret Santa?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, we did it sometimes at work, yeah.
Is Santa Claus in Italy?
No, it's Babbo Natale. It's a different thing.
Babbo Natale.
It means Natale is Christmas. It's Father Christmas.
Okay.
It's a slightly different name. And
is he the same old guy, white beard?
Yeah, it's the same. But when I was little, we had baby Jesus bringing presents, so it was totally different. And then all of a sudden, it was Babbo Natale, so things got more modern.
My favorite one is still the Netherlands, Dutch, Holland, where they have their version of Santa Claus comes from Spain and brings his black slaves with him.
Oh!
They're called Black Pete's.
Oh my!
And people in Holland will actually dress up in blackface and go around town as the servants of Santa Claus. And they see no problem with this.
Oh, really?
If you're a North American in the Netherlands this time of year, it's just the most confusing place in the world. Because, yeah, we've all almost agreed that blackface is offensive. Okay, let's stipulate that. So to have people celebrating Santa Claus and his black elven slaves...
Oh, that's really bad.
It's really awful.
Well, Santa has helpers, but they should be in any colors of the world, not only one color.
It could be argued that Santa's elves are slaves.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's very, very bad. Oh.
All he happens to have is midget slaves, Whereas the Dutch Santa's black slaves. So strange.
Not good.
So, what are you guys getting for your Secret Santas? What are you getting under for $10? For what's the most expensive thing you're going to get? All that kind of stuff. Just participate and play in this. Now, the other thing I found out because of the Cute Italian Girl is we have to get our Christmas decorations up by December 8th.
Yeah, this is the date in Italy.
And what's that?
Because it's Sant'Ambrogio in Milan, that is the saint protector. It's a very big celebration, and so we use that date, that is a holiday. We spend all day in decorating the house, making more than a Christmas tree. We make presepio, that is like with little figurines. We create the nativity scene, and sometimes we have a Christmas tree, but it's less used than presepio.
What about things like decorating with lights?
Oh yeah, we have lights. We have that is the same. Outside the house is the same. Just inside is a bit different with that thing.
ArcSign says, ask the CIG to translate Sagra, Italian site.
Sagra is a kind of celebration where there is also typical food involved. It's like a big party where people go and they hang out together and eat typical food.
Insieme a Pua Riscopreri Mentanera Viva La Manifestazione Legate. I'm just brutalizing your language, aren't I?
Yeah, I was not sure if it was Italian.
Destroying it. I could tell. You were in the IRC. Thank you very much for being in the IRC. And I don't know how it shows up for you, but for those folks who aren't familiar with IRC, if you're afraid of IRC, the SIG is in there. So you can join her in the IRC. You can join us in with your favorite IRC software, irc.chat-solutions.org. You can also, right off the front page of the YourMacLifeShow.com website, there is the link to, you can jump right into the IRC right from there. Speaking of jumping right in, let's see if we can't get our good friend Jim Dalrymple in the IRC. Jim, you there? Don't look around like that. If you can hear me, let me know. See, because you do this, and then I go madly try to fix things. Say something.
Hi.
There we go. So I can hear you. God damn you. Jeez, man. So we were just talking about Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and Black Friday's only just seems to be only catching on here in Canada. Are you noticing it there in Halifax, Nova Scotia?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's starting. They have, Black Friday sales and everything.
Are you noticing that it's just starting to get popular in the last couple of years, or has it been the last 5 years, 10 years? Give us a sense of what it is.
Probably only in the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I get a sense that's
it's the only time it's really getting popular. Besides that, we never really had any sales around that.
Yeah, because it's not a Canadian holiday. It's not our Thanksgiving is too early in October.
Yeah.
For us to start buying stuff, and we haven't really paid much attention to the American Thanksgiving, and it's mostly the American retailers that are bringing it to Canada, and then other retailers are catching on. The Best Buys and those.
They have to do it in order to keep up.
Do you think that it's a regional thing? Is it as popular in Nova Scotia as it would be in... Because Nova Scotians in general, we're not as consumer-oriented. We're as consumer-focused as, say, people in the large urban centers. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's getting a lot better now. It's different because of the internet. We can shop online. We can, we see all these sales that they have, and we want a piece of that. People go online and shop Black Friday stuff. I mean,
I think for us as kids, the reason we didn't get involved in it was because we didn't have any place to buy that stuff. We didn't have Best Buys. We didn't have Future Shops.
No.
When we were kids, we had Eaton's and Sears. That was it.
Yeah, and you get the Sears catalog.
Oh yeah, and the Eaton's catalog. I love those catalogs.
Yeah,
those are great. I don't think any company even. Yeah, none of those guys even send out the paper catalogs anymore. So I think it's one of the reasons why we didn't involve in that stuff in Nova Scotia. But as we have more access, as more of those stores become part of the retail environment, and as you said, because of the internet, it's become a much bigger deal. But it's gotten out of control. It certainly isn't in the United States. Not here yet. Will you be going shopping this weekend? Do you just... Are you one of those guys that pawn... do you pawn off all the Christmas shopping onto your lovely wife, Monique?
Yes.
Do you even know what your kids get for Christmas?
When they open it.
When they open it, that's right. Oh wow, I got you that.
Yeah, and it's really awkward when you say, "Oh, who's that from?"
That's
From
right.
you. Oh,
It says from you, Dad, in the package. Yeah.
the best part about Black Friday to me is seeing the videos from Walmart.
Oh yeah, isn't that just a horror show?
Oh my God, I love that. I post them. When the good videos from Walmart come in, they do these compilations and stuff of people getting trampled and killed because they get 50 cents off something. Hilarious.
It really is, and it's just so wrong, and it's such an indictment of our consumerist society
Well,
where people
it's like
have to do that on Friday.
the people that are doing the trampling, ate 16 Big Macs before they got there, and they have spandex on that's 10 sizes too small, and they're falling out all over the place, and then they go like a linebacker right through the door and crushing everybody in their way. It's funny as hell.
As Arcson points out, something I was going to say, these sales are just illusions. Discounts
Yeah.
are from artificially high prices that perhaps never result in significant numbers sold to consumers.
Well, and they do have things that are legitimately on sale,
Yep.
but they have 10 of them.
Yeah, that's right.
So you get linebacker guy that comes in and storms to the front, and he gets it, but nobody else does. And I think that there was one year where people were actually shot, weren't they? Wasn't there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. In Detroit.
Craziness, really.
There's no solution to it either, is there? Until we change the way we think about shopping and buying and the season, it's just going to get worse every year in more places.
I don't know how you would fix something like that, because the retailers are not going to give up the biggest shopping day of the year.
But it's not, though.
Yes, it is.
It's the No, it's not. No, it's not. Black Friday is the busiest traffic-wise shopping day, but statistically, the biggest sales, which is what retailers care about, the biggest sales day makes perfect sense, the Saturday before Christmas. That's where they actually make more money. And that makes sense because everyone's in a blind panic, mostly us guys who've left at the last minute. The idea that Friday is the busiest comes from a traffic point of view.
I don't know if I agree with you.
No, I've got statistics to back it up.
Well, I don't care. Analysts have statistics too, and a lot of good that does.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe you on that one.
No, it's true. It's a high traffic day, but I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense that Saturday would be monetarily more a bigger deal for retailers than the Friday a month beforehand.
Yeah.
The other thing that's bothersome is watching Black Friday ooze its way into White Thursday, Turkey Thursday.
Yeah.
And even further back, I was saying off the top of the show, I'm seeing Black Friday sales this past Monday, advertised as Black Friday sales start today.
Yeah.
It's not Black Friday.
Yeah, it used to be just that day, but now people are finishing up their turkey and going to wait in line at midnight.
Some of those people, though, are trying to get away from family. I think
there are other solutions to that.
That's right, exactly. A lot of folks are just trying to get away from Uncle Festus. But who said it in the IRC chat room about Tim Cook? I'll find it. Where'd it go? Someone said that they admire Tim Cook for giving Apple employees. Monty, I applaud Tim Cook for saying Apple stores will be closed tomorrow. I think Apple is the only major retailer, at least in the U.S., that's closed tomorrow. I think every other major retailer is going to be open for at least a short period of time.
Well, I mean, it's good that Apple does that because Apple employees, we all know enough of them that that when it comes to launch time, they're working extra.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
24 hours a day for weeks. So yeah, if they get some time off, that's great.
It'll be interesting to see the news reports I was saying earlier, we're going to hear about the violence Friday at noon somewhere in America. There's going to be some kinds of violence, and we'll all shake our heads and won't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah. At least they'll have their turkey.
Exactly. We've talked about this many times, and it's confused us every single time. Why does Microsoft fail so miserably at advertising? They do the dumbest things when it comes to this whole Scroogle campaign, the thing you had up on the loopinsight.com site with the Pawn Star guys, with the slams on the Chromebook, with slams on the iPad. They're just so tone deaf. Can you figure it out? I mean, am I just too close to this that I think that these are these good ads?
It's not just advertising. I mean, Microsoft screwed up on all of their marketing stuff, from the iPod funeral to the iPad or iPhone funeral. They didn't screw that one up once; they did it twice. Mm-hmm. But it's not just marketing that they don't get. I don't think that they understand the customers anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where it's coming from. Their products aren't very good, and they don't seem to have an outlook for the future that gives me any confidence. There was a time when you had to use Office, even on a Mac. I mean, you had to have Office. And when Microsoft committed to having Office on the Mac, it was a big thing, because that meant that we could communicate with the larger market. That's not the case anymore. No. You don't need Windows or Office anymore, and you certainly don't need Windows anymore. So I think that Microsoft doesn't get where the market is going, and if they do get it, they don't want it to go there, so they're just turning a blind eye to it and hoping that they can stop it. They can't.
I just find it remarkable that their marketing department creates these ads and then does not listen to what the marketplace actually says about the ads. They don't see the reactions online in other places and think, oh, wait a minute, okay, maybe we should change our ads. And they could do good ads for this stuff. Yeah, there are good points about the Surface. There are good points about this stuff. There's no reason for them to say, sorry, go ahead.
When Apple had the Genius ads and people hated them, they took them off.
Yeah, the one time. But those weren't really slamming...
No, they were just stupid.
Microsoft. They were just stupid. Exactly, yeah, that's right. Apple listened and heard that the market didn't like them. But Microsoft has been doing this for years. Remember the Seinfeld Bill Gates ads? Those were awful.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind those so much.
But they were painful to watch in the sense that they just seemed so out of touch with reality.
Every Seinfeld episode was painful to watch, but still, I mean, you tuned in and watched it.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't mind those ones so much, but yeah, the Microsoft's marketing is not in tune with. It's like watching the old guy try and be cool again.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
He's still not cool. He fails at it miserably, and you just sit back and say, "Oh my God, really?"
It's almost embarrassing.
But that's the way that I see Microsoft products too.
Yeah, true. Good point.
And so it's not just the marketing department. It's systemic. I mean, there's nothing that they do right now that's very good or very cool. I love the Xbox. I think the Xbox is the best on the market. But I asked my son, who's the big Xbox player, if he was going to get one or he wanted one. He said no. So
really?
Yeah, he said there's no games for it, so what's the point?
Well, there will be games for it.
There will be, and when there will be, he'll get one.
And Forza Motorsport 5 gives me a chubby.
Well, yeah, but if you have, I mean, he plays online with all of his friends.
Okay.
They get the big NHL tournaments going and stuff like that, and Halo, and I went to play Halo with him. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to like Doom and Unreal. You go forward, you go back, you shoot. Well, in Halo, you take the buttons and you go forward, forward, back, back, side, side, X, Y, Z, and then he jumps and flips and, you know, does all this crazy stuff. I couldn't play. Michael was in the game. He was jumping over me and shooting me in the air while he was flipping around and coming down, and I was dead. So I you know, respawn myself, and there he'd be right behind me.
Stand right in front of you.
Boom,
shoving a rocket up
dead
your
again.
ass. Yeah.
So, you know, I just want to, I said, can't we play without, you know, all these fancy things? Okay, we'll do that. So, great. Except he didn't listen, and he spun up in the air and shot me when he was flipping around. You know, I think that that Xbox is one thing that they're doing right, but according to, you know, reports, I don't know, it's not making any money.
It hasn't in its entire history.
Right. And, you know, that's nothing new, but it's the one thing that Microsoft has, I think, that people can identify with, that people actually like. You know, and I know that there are the people that are PS4 or PS3, you know, they like that better.
Sure.
But I think that these days we're beyond the point where we buy one console, because the consoles are so cheap that, you know, we buy multiple consoles. I mean, Michael, I think, has 2 or 3 upstairs, maybe even more. And, you know, he even got one of the old NESs or Super NESs, or I don't know.
I think one of the things I find most interesting with the Xbox is that if it were made by any other company, it would get slammed unmercifully. The UI in the Xbox is awful. Yeah. I've had the original Xbox. I've had the Xbox 360. I might, not this Christmas, but I might at some point in the future get an Xbox One. And the user interface just sucks. But it's so much better than Microsoft's other sucky user interfaces. We think it's good.
Is it better than the PS4?
I've never played a PS4. I don't know.
I mean, or a PS3?
Yeah, no, I've never played a PS. I've always been an Xbox fan.
Yeah, Michael doesn't like the PlayStation either. He's got a Wii, and I don't know why he doesn't really use it, but he's got that, and the Xbox is what he uses most of the time. So I guess he can, you know, when the thing turns on, he can start going through the interface without the windows even popping up. You know, you got to press this button to log in, and then you got to press this button to start. He's just done.
The only reason why I even like Xbox is because of the Forza Motorsport series. I'm completely addicted to that game. I will buy same thing, Xbox 360, Xbox One. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to buy the box. I'm going to buy the game. I will sit down for a weekend and play till my fingers bleed.
Yeah. What's the game that Microsoft put out? Project Gotham?
Yes.
That was good too.
Yeah, some of them were good.
I mean, Michael and I, see, I can race, and I can beat him racing.
Yeah.
I can't shoot him. But
well, now what you need to do is get a racing game with guns.
Yeah.
See, there you go. There you go.
Well, we had one of those. We had Lego racing on it.
That's right.
And
Mario Kart racing is fun.
I could kick his ass in Lego racing. It was great. And then, you know, he turned 7 and started beating the hell out of me every time. So, yeah, I won't play that anymore either.
Interesting news over the weekend that Apple had bought a company called PrimeSense. Now, some folks think this is some sort of big deal because these are the guys who came up with the Kinect for Xbox. They're no longer doing the Kinect for Xbox. Where do you think Apple's going to use PrimeSense? A lot of folks even think this is going to be some sort of Brian Chen, a notable moron at the New York Times, seems to think this is going to be for something for the mythical Apple TV. What do you think Apple's going to use this technology for?
I think looking at this particular purchase as a product-specific technology is wrong.
Agreed. I think if you think they bought this to duplicate what the PrimeSense guys have done in the past, you're not paying attention.
No,
It's not what Apple does.
Not like that, and it's not a technology specific to iPhone or Apple TV. I think that's the wrong way to look at it.
For some reason, I get the feeling this has something to do with iBeacon, and I have no clue what. I've got no information from anybody at Apple or a hint or anything else like that. But my brain thinks that it's going to be something to do with the iBeacon stuff.
Well, you never know.
It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. What are you doing?
You don't know.
Why are you screwing with my show? I don't come on your show and screw around. I don't get invited on your show, but I don't get invited to any shows. Yeah, has anyone else noticed that?
I've noticed.
I see. Well, no one else at TUAW, Mac Observer, iMore.
It's because you tell them all off.
That's true. I won't kiss their asses. Oh, that explains it. Speaking of not kissing their ass, did you see the story at Cult of Mac over the weekend from Mike Elgin? Apple has a hit list, and I'm on it. No, Elgin, if you don't get invited to stuff from Apple because you're a moron.
I did see that today. I forget who mentioned it. Panzer.
It's just remarkable that and the worst part is no evidence. He's got no proof whatsoever. Well, because he doesn't get invited to events, Apple's got a blacklist, and I'm on it.
The thing that I really liked is that he said, if I wasn't on it, I will be now.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Now, would it be a bad thing if Apple did that? I don't think Apple does have a blacklist. They certainly have a preferred list. You, Jim, are on it. A lot of other well-known journalists are on it. So that's a preferred list. Does that mean, by extension, everyone else is on a blacklist?
No.
And would that be a bad thing?
Well, no. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Every company has people that they like to work with or would rather work with. So, choosing, looking at Elgin's thing, that would mean to say that everybody that's on the preferred list are people that Apple really likes. I don't believe that either.
Oh, I agree that I think it does.
No,
I think
it doesn't.
Apple likes them.
It
Doesn't at all. Further. Let me go a little further. What Elgin does with his sleazy, slimy, snide little way of putting that is by extension saying Apple likes these people, so these people say nice things about Apple. That's not true.
No.
That is not true.
That is absolutely not true.
No.
I mean, if that was the case, I wouldn't have linked to the newsstand thing that was up today. If I looked at that and said, "Oh, geez, I better not post that."
Yeah,
but I thought it was an interesting story. Glenn had some things to say. Other people had some things to say. It was interesting. So I post that just like I post stuff about Google and Microsoft.
But again, let's take Elgin at face value and say that Apple does have a blacklist. Would that be wrong?
Well, I think everybody has a blacklist.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a blacklist.
Yes.
I have a kill list. Same thing, I guess.
I have a list of black people in technology. It's a very short list.
How is John anyway? Say hi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no kidding. I think the blacklist is wrong depending on how it's used. Apple certainly has a list of people they will not send product to for any reason because the person doesn't have enough reach. They don't reach out to enough people. But if Apple's using a blacklist as a cudgel, as a stick to beat people in the line, that would be wrong. Yeah, if Apple would say,
I don't.
No, Apple doesn't do that. I'm agreeing with you. Apple does not do that.
I don't see a blacklist being used like that. I mean, I see a blacklist as, I mean, if you look at the people that are invited to events, there is no way in the world you can convince me that Apple or Microsoft or Google or whoever it is likes every person on that list.
I think
No way in the world you can convince me of that.
I think Apple would say, if you backed them into a corner and put a gun to their children's head, that the people on that list are people that Apple believes overall and over time are objective about Apple's products.
Objective, and I think what you said earlier is true. They have reach.
Yes.
So, there are companies that are there. There are people that are there that I can't imagine Apple would like. I'm not convinced at all with this. Because there's always two sides to things. So if there's a blacklist, then there's a whitelist.
Sure.
I don't agree with that.
But there is a whitelist.
Well, no. We're talking about a preferred list and a blacklist. But the blacklist list would indicate that the whitelist is everybody that they like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that the preferred list is everybody that they like. I think it's everybody that they feel can be objective. I
think it's a preferred list, and the rest of us are on the we don't care about you list.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. Because the implication of a blacklist means that there has to be a whitelist.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And the implication of a whitelist is that you like these people. I don't agree with that.
I see your point.
Apple may invite people that are on the whitelist, but that doesn't mean that they like them. It means that they feel that they can be objective. I think you put that very well, and they have some reach, and they'll be fair.
Yeah.
People if there is such a thing as a blacklist, people on the blacklist. Maybe our Mike. It's just there you go.
Well, like I said, I think the list is people who are stupid.
Blacklist?
What's that?
What would get you on the blacklist?
I think, for example, perfect example is we've all assumed that Gizmodo is on. Let's not call it a blacklist. Call it a shit list.
Yeah.
Gizmodo doesn't get invited to Apple events.
Yeah.
That's certainly a shit list.
Can you blame them?
No.
I mean,
that's... For a period of time, the folks at Macro Magazine were on Apple's not getting product list. We saw Jason Snell whine about that on many occasions. Why did someone at CNET get a new product ahead of launch?
Or me.
or you, exactly. That's right.
But... Jason was, or somebody from Macworld was always invited to the events.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's two blacklists?
Yeah, there's an event list and there's a product list.
I don't know. I think that I think that this you can't have one without the other, and I think the idea of the one is flawed. So that means that the idea for the other has to be flawed too.
Okay. ArcScience says in the RSV chat room, ask Jim if there are people he wouldn't invite to events if it were up to him. How many would the beard exclude? That's a dumb question.
Shit, I wouldn't invite most of them.
Exactly.
It'd be an empty room. I
could do Apple announcements in my bathroom.
there are a lot of good people that do go to these events.
Sure.
And we talked about one of them a minute ago. John Fort, I think, is great. Mm-hmm. I really like John.
See, I like John personally. I think his CNB stuff is crap.
No, I like his CNBC stuff because John is willing to correct things that are on there. I think he does a good job himself. Mm-hmm. Whatever we think of CNBC, that's a different thing. I think having more bloggers there now is good. The crowd at these events is a bit different than what it used to be. Mm-hmm. Like having the guys from Anantech there.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Who are very, very technical.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Apple's brought them on board for exactly that reason too.
Well, yeah, I can follow along with all their stuff, but some
Yeah.
people can't.
Yeah.
I get like 2 paragraphs in, and I'm saying, "What the hell are they talking
Yeah,
about?
no kidding.
Are they using the same product I am?" Yeah, I mean,
iPad Lite.
yeah, because those guys are so smart.
Yeah.
And, you know, you need to have that side of it in there to get that stuff out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's good that they're there. But there are a lot of people that, you know, that Apple invites that I just don't get. But, you know.
Monty says, I would posit that in the context of this discussion, Apple invites people to these events and gives them evaluation copies of product, that the people invited or given product are people who come across in public as being professional, fair, and objective instead of personal opinion, emotional, and subjective. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think one reason why you're invited, Jim, is because it's your personal opinion, because you're emotional, because you're subjective.
Yeah,
just in a way that Apple likes.
That's just what I was thinking too. That I agree with the majority of that. I agree where he's going with that statement. Yeah. You know, Apple can't control the opinions of what people write, but you know, I've never had Apple come to me and say, you know, we don't like your thoughts on this product, and you better stop it. You know, that's never happened.
No.
They don't try and control. I mean, you know, if I have a serious problem, I'm sure that somebody would get in touch, or I'd get in touch with them and say, hey, you know.
Now here's someone. MacMan brings up Leo Laporte is on Apple's shit list for the live stream he did. I don't think that's why he's on Apple's shit list.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why at all.
I mean, Leo's on so many shit lists.
Exactly. And deserves to be on every one of them. But I do believe that Apple has a list of people they will not truck with. And I have no problem with that.
I have no problem. Every company has one of those.
Exactly. And every company has the right, almost the obligation, to manipulate the media in ways that are favorable to the company.
Well, they manipulate.
It's the media's job to get around that manipulation.
Right. I mean, if you can go to an event with a really crappy product and come out of that event and speak honestly about it, then you've done your job.
Yeah.
But when's the last time I got invited to a Google event? Never.
Or BlackBerry event.
Never. You know? Can you imagine if I get
invited to their funeral? So, I think that'd be kind of fun. You know what? If I was the CEO of BlackBerry, I would give you an all-expense-paid trip to beautiful downtown Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and put you up in the finest Holiday Inn in the city, and give you as much Heineken as you possibly could ingest, just to see what would happen.
Well, they're not doing that. When's the last time I went to a Microsoft event?
They don't have those in Halifax.
Years. Yeah, but I used to go to them out in Seattle.
No.
But Microsoft doesn't care as much about, you know, the blogger community, and I don't care that much about Microsoft anymore. I mean, I don't have Office anywhere near my computer. Would I get Office on the iPad if they come out with something like that? I probably would, but only to test it.
Yeah.
You know, to see what it was like so I could comment on it or write about it. Or I wouldn't bother doing a review because it's not that important to me. I don't care. You know, I'm getting along fine with Works. I don't see the need for that.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
folks, we're talking to Jim Dalrymple from The Loop, loopinsight.com. He's still screwing around. Jesus. He has his own podcast, and I'm going to come on next Wednesday and screw around with him. See if you like it, pal. Gold Amplified's up on the iTunes store. He and Dan Benjamin from 5x5.tv do it each and every week, most of the time. Is it even up yet?
Yeah.
Benjamin's finally got it up the same day.
I posted it.
You posted it. Okay.
Well, no.
It takes Benjamin 24 hours to get it up.
No, he posted it, but I mean, I linked to it, so
okay.
I know it's up.
It's up there on loopinsight.com. Jim, thanks very much, buddy.
See ya.
See you. Bye. We were talking about having the SIG in the IRC chat room. You folks in the IRC, you probably haven't done this in a millennia. Give me, see how many folks even know what this is, an age, sex, location check. Now, Alessandra, watch the IRC. I think this is something that people don't really get about IRC, that these people are not in the same room. They're literally around the world right now. Monty is 45 male in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on, kids. Palo Alto. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. God, these guys type slow. So what I'm trying to get across to folks is that the IRC, all of a sudden I had this, Monty, remember the delay, Shawn. Yeah, thanks, Monty, you're right. All of a sudden I had this conversation this afternoon. She wasn't sure what the IRC was for. That for her, it just seems like you guys are talking about geek stuff. And the IRC is for whatever you want it to be. If you want to come in the IRC, if you've never done IRC and want to join an IRC, it's easy to do. Shawn, yourmaclifeshow.com. You pick a username, and right on the front page, you jump in the IRC. You have a question, you can jump in and ask a question in the IRC. Either myself or someone else might be able to answer it. If you got a comment to make, if Jim said something you want to comment in, or I did, or you're Italian and want to say ciao to the SIG,
please
you can
do that.
Yeah, please do that. Mosquito, 53, mostly male jersey. Got a problem? See, now there you go, Alessandra. Show Brian how to spell ciao. Because he's done it wrong.
Well, I appreciate the intention. Thank you so much. The sound is the same, so it's fine.
But it's kind of neat. I've always liked IRC.
Perfect.
Because it's people around the world, certainly around North America right now here on Wednesday evenings. But occasionally we'll see folks from Japan and Australia and places like that. So that's one of the things you can do with IRC is get a sense of where people are all over the place. Brian, come está Ogi?
Oggi means today. That's great.
Did you spell it right?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. Oggi sto bene, grazie.
There you go. Where is it? Did Mo say that Shawn's going to be in? Mosquito, Shawn's going to be on Amplified? No, I've listened to it a second time. No, I'm not going to be on Amplified. I don't get invited to anyone else's podcast. As Sly pointed out, is because I pissed them all off all these years. And the funniest thing is, I've interviewed every podcaster, Mac podcaster, over the last 10 years. Every one of them. I interviewed Gruber before he was Gruber. I've interviewed Moltz before he was Moltz. And Jason Snell, and Chris Breen, and Dave Hamilton, and Mike Rose from TUAW. Interviewed them all. And not one of those dicks would ever have me on their podcast. And I don't know, it cracks me up so fun. What now? Look, I think Brian's showing off. How do you say that?
Oh, wow. That's great. Il cibo italiano è il migliore. That means Italian food is the best. And it's true.
He's pretty close.
Well, if it's well done, yes.
So what's cibo?
Cibo is food.
Food. Migliore is eat.
Migliore è better.
better.
The structure of the sentence is different from
I know,
English,
it's
so
so confusing.
don't try to translate.
It's so confusing. Oh, as always, send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Talked about this off the top of the show. What are you getting for Christmas? What are you wishing for Christmas? What are you getting Secret Santas? Give us ideas that we can give to the audience for interesting prizes. Don't forget, next week we're doing a draw for the Dodo case. Nice folks at dodocase.com are giving away a customized by you Dodo case. Go to the website, dodocase.com. Right there on the front page, there's a link that says Build a Dodo case or Customize a Dodo case. Click on that link, customize your Dodo case wherever you want. Send me a screenshot of that to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. And on next week's show, we're going to do a draw, and you'll win your very own Dodo case. It's kind of cool. The nice folks at Thought Out Biz. Oh, shoot. Let me get the THOUGHT. Yeah, thoughtoutbiz.com. I'm also giving a Stable Coil Pro flexible coil pivoting stand. This thing is really kind of cool. So if I can't pull it up on their website, thoughtoutbiz. Thoughtout.biz is the website. I saw this, and for those folks who know, I've been looking for a replacement stand for my iPad for a while now. One for the SIG to use during the show, but also for me to be able to prop up around here. I love the grip stand from OWC, but it's not available for the iPad Air yet. So I've been looking around for other companies who make stands, flexible stands for the iPad Air. And I found these guys, thoughtout.biz, and this Stable Pro thing it looks like it's just a cable that you twist around. But it's a very flexible, while still being, what's the word I'm looking for? It's flexible but stiff cable. You can put in different kinds of configurations to hold up your iPad. So I asked for a review product, and they said, hey, can we give away one on the show? I said, sure. So next week's show, we're going to do a random draw for the Stable Coil Pro for the iPad Air and the iPad, a flexible pivoting stand. That's the other thing. Hiker BC says, I'm getting my Ma a new iPad on Friday. Target is offering a $100 gift card with any iPad purchase. And the reason I wanted to mention this was a lot of Mac websites just went, ooh, when Apple announced on Tuesday their Black Friday sales. Do not think that you're going to get a deal that's better than anyone else, Target, Best Buy, Walmart, Future Shop, at Apple. They might give you $50 off an iPad. They might give $100 off a MacBook. I saw Best Buy, the MacBook Pro I bought, 13-inch, 8 gigs of RAM, half a terabyte of flash storage. Apple will probably offer $50 off of that. Best Buy, $200 off. Now, granted, it might be only one of them at Best Buy deals, but you'll find better deals at other companies than Apple on Friday. So don't go crazy and think you've got to buy stuff at the Apple Store. Because remember, even if you buy your laptop at Best Buy or Target or whatever else, you can bring it into the Apple Store for the Genius Bar and for Apple Care, all the other kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. Don't be thinking that Apple sales are going to be any big deal. One of the interesting things when we were talking about this that the SIG told me, in Italy, prices go up this time of year.
Oh,
What's that all about?
Yeah, in December you don't want to buy anything because the stores know that people have to buy presents for Christmas. Absolutely, they have to. So they buy even if prices are double. So they increase the prices so much.
That is a really interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. So they sell less because people recently just buy a present for kids and not for adults because it's so expensive.
I think that's really an interesting thing to do. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it's good for the retailers. Certainly not good for the consumers.
Oh no.
But to a certain degree, would that mean that you guys in Italy don't have this insane consumerism that we have here in North America? People don't line up in stores in Italy.
There are not crazy lineups. We have to buy presents anyway, especially for kids, but it's not that crazy because it's too expensive. So Christmas is more like a family gathering. We all visit our relatives and we eat a lot together and are happy together, but there are not too many presents.
You are not religious in the traditional sense. We're not going to church every Sunday and saying mass and things like that. But do you think that Christmas, at least in Italy, at least in Torino, is less consumer, more family, more religious than the ones you've experienced here in North America?
Yeah, it's more about family. Religion, yes, but mostly it's family because family is so important in Italy, and usually all relatives live close to each other, so it's easy to be together and celebrate in that way. So it's not only because of the Catholic aspect, but it's because it's family. It's an important concept.
And I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to be able to find a way, and part of it's my own background as a kid. Of, you know, when I was a kid, we didn't have very much money, so we never really got a lot of stuff for Christmas. If you got one or two presents, you were very lucky. So we never got into that mentality of kids that you've got to buy, you've got to get, you've got to give kind of stuff. And for whatever reason in my life, Christmas time, I've never had money to buy things for family and loved ones. So that's my own, issues with the consumerism, is I can't participate in it. Maybe if I had lots of money, I would be just a crazy shopper like everybody else. So that's where I'm coming from on this. But I like the Italian way. I'm not religious either, but I certainly wish that Christmas was more about family, not about religion, but about people getting together and sitting in a friend's house and having a beer and having a meal. I don't think we do enough of that in North America anymore. I think part of it is because we travel. North Americans, as you said, most of your family still lives in the same area. Not a lot of folks in America can say that, and Canada can say that you still live within, a couple, maybe an hour drive of your family or your hometown or things like that. So we tend to maybe use consumerism as an excuse to make up for that lack of family interaction. I don't know. But it is a shame that we spend so much time, so much effort, so much money on the people we love in ways that they're not involved in. You go to the mall to buy these presents for your kids, and you're there for 4 hours. That's 4 hours you could have spent with your kids.
Yeah, that would be much better.
So, I don't know. But you know what? The other thing is, I understand it more now because of the little Sig.
Mm-hmm.
She's 12, and I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what we're going to get a 12-year-old girl. I have no freaking idea.
Me neither.
It would have been easy if she was a Mac user. I would just bought her an iPod Touch and just moved on. Bought her a new iPod and her new iPad and moved on. But so part of it is that you want to make the people in your life happy by giving them things, when the vast majority of them will be just as happy if you give of yourself, if you do something with them as opposed to something for them or giving them things. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing. They just want attention, so as long as we spend good time together, then it will be good.
You're going to enjoy this statement. Monty says, Shawn King, have you asked the 12-year-old for input?
That's a great idea.
No, it's not.
Why
She's
not?
12. She doesn't know what the hell she wants.
She's asking for too much, maybe. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous thing to do, but just asking doesn't mean then we buy what she's asking for. We could try.
Speaking of Christmas presents, I'm sorry, no. Speaking of, I don't know. I was trying to segue that, but I couldn't. We know, we've talked about this in the past, that the SIG, even though she is a former programmer, an author of a programming book. Oh, what was the name of the book?
Internet Explorer 4.
That's right.
Long time ago.
In Italian.
In Italian, yeah, I was still in Italy.
It's even more impressive. So, but we've established that you are not a fan of technology for technology's sake, right?
Yeah, not too crazy.
So you don't need or want a new computer, right?
No, I just
You don't
use
need
the one.
or want a new phone.
No, I already have a new one. I just got it for my birthday.
You don't need or want an iPad Air.
No, I use yours.
You do, ah,
I started using it.
exactly. And that's really interesting. I finally found something
Yes.
that makes you not want,
Mhm.
but at least interested
Yeah.
in using the iPad.
Mhm.
What is that?
It was a magazine subscription to so many magazines, so I could jump from one to the other one and read all the articles, and the iPhone would have been too little for that, so the iPad was the right size, and I could read and get informed. And
You guys have, some of you who listen to the interview, this is from the company Next Issue, nextissue.com, nextissue.ca in Canada. Now, for some reason, nextissue.com will give you a 30-day trial of all 100 of their magazines. In Canada, nextissue.ca gives you a 60-day trial of all 100 of their magazines. And we're talking Sports Illustrated and Wired and Vogue and Vegetarian Monthly.
and yoga.
Actually, a yoga magazine just cracks me up. So the whole gamut of magazines. Do it. Go to nextissue.ca, sign up, and do what I do, too, by the way. I signed up for 60 days, and as soon as I finished the sign up, I told Siri to remind me to cancel the subscription the day before. So January 25th, Siri will pop up and say, cancel next issue. That's if we're going to cancel it. But it's interesting because, Alessandra, you feel the same way I do about books and magazines. We like the hard copy, don't we?
Yeah, I miss the paper, and yeah, they should have at least put the sound of the pages when you turn it. They didn't. So
That's kind of
it's
funny.
like
You say that.
it's like being on the website. It's not like flipping through the pages of a magazine. It's interesting because you have all the information, and you actually navigate on the pages like a website. It's not that you flip all the pages. When there is an article, all the pages are one under the other one, and it's different. So I still need paper books, paper magazines. But that was a nice experience to do, especially because I was finally able to find a reason to use the iPad.
Yeah, we both like hard copy,
Yeah.
although we don't buy them, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because, one of your favorite magazines is Vogue,
Mm-hmm.
and it costs, what, $10 a pop
Oh, yeah, it's expensive.
in the store? So I'm not going to buy that. Now, yeah, I know, you can get cheaper subscriptions. But we signed up, I think I said 20 issues, 20 different
Oh,
magazines.
yeah, around that, yeah.
The other cool thing about it is you can watch or read all their back issues back to, I think, March 2012. So more than a year of back issues.
Yeah.
So we got, let's say, 20. If you get a deal and get $10 a year, that's $200 of magazines a year. The next issue costs there's a $10 a month plan, that's $120 a year, and there's a $15 a month plan, which is what? That's $160 a year, I think, somewhere in there. It's not cheap. It's certainly convenient, and some of it's kind of interesting. What was the magazine we were looking at on the next issue that had video in the ad?
Oh yeah, I forgot which one. It was very nice.
Can't remember which magazine it was. And normally I would, I don't read advertisements. If in a paper magazine, if I'm reading, it might have been Condé Nast Traveler. If I'm reading Condé Nast Traveler, I'm flipping through. If I see an ad, I couldn't tell you what I looked at half a second after I turned the page. But on this one, I saw the ad, I saw the motion in the ad, I stopped and watched the ad and read the ad. That's interesting.
Yeah.
From a guy like me, who's not immune, but I've seen 8 million advertisements in my life, and I generally skip right past them, to stop and look at an ad that didn't have boobs. Because if it's ads got boobs, I'm gonna look at the ad.
So that's the reason to look.
That's just
No, this was just a different way. It was not expected in a magazine, so it was very attractive, very interesting.
It was a very interesting way of presenting that information to us. The other thing we noticed was that next issue doesn't control how the magazines are presented to you. So it's different for every magazine, which can get a bit annoying. Some magazines were very linear. You just scrolled left to right, and the pages went through. Some of them, which one was it, that went up and down?
Oh, yes, so you never know in which part of the magazine you are. You might miss some parts. That was confusing.
And some of them went up and down and had indicators on the side. Some didn't.
Yeah.
Some of them allowed you to, in the table of contents, click on the headline, and it would jump to that spot in the magazine, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Some of them were simply, obviously, screenshots. They were basically PDFs of the magazine. The graphics weren't very good. Although, what did you say about the graphics?
Well, for me, they were perfect because
you're blind.
The way I see, and I was wearing my glasses, so they were fantastic.
Yeah, for you, you didn't know any difference.
No, for me it was great.
I don't know why I suddenly can't get myself back on the broadcast. There we go. So how many magazines have you read? We got it on Monday.
Yeah.
Have you been wanting to pick up the iPad to read more magazines, or is it sort of an afterthought kind of thing to you?
I think I will do it again. Not every day. I'm not that crazy about it. But it's a different way of going through the magazine, so I like it. I think I will do it again.
I think things will be different for me because where do you think, Hiker BC says, Shawn, check your local library. Most of them have free access to Zinio, tons of current magazines, surreylibraries.ca. Thanks, Hiker. Where do you think I read magazines most?
I don't know.
I know most of you are going to go the dirty route. I read most of my magazines sitting on the couch watching sports.
Oh.
Because sports, when I'm by myself, is just background noise. So if there's a baseball game on or a football game or F1 car racing, it's in the background. That's what I would, in my apartment, I had a table, coffee table or end table, and that's where all the magazines would stack up. And when I sat down on the couch to watch a baseball game, I pick up a magazine. And the baseball game is just background noise. And I'm reading it, and that's when I would read the magazine. I think I would do that once we get a couch.
Oh, yeah, that is still missing.
Our couch is still in Calgary. Still waiting for us to pay someone to pump it over the mountains here to Vancouver. So I think I'd be more likely to use the next issue thing in that situation. Watching TV, and no, not watching TV, but having sports on in the background. And that's when I'll really put next issue to the test and see if it's something we want to pay for going forward. But if you're a family that likes a lot of magazines, now the downside is, we've talked about this before, next issue, I can't cut and paste the articles, send them to someone. I can't loan the magazine to someone. What I did in Portland, or I didn't do it, but Dr. E, the roommate, all the magazines, once I was finished them, she took them to the clinics that she went to.
Oh, good.
And she would leave them behind in the clinics. Just recycle them that way. Can't do that with next issue.
You cannot. But you don't have them there, so you don't have an issue to solve. You don't have to throw them away to make room.
But I liked doing that.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to do. Just give them to someone that can use them. Yeah.
Because E worked at lower income clinics, and most of those folks, couldn't afford the latest Wired magazine or things like that, Macworld, whatever it was. So I kind of like doing that. The other thing is, when I found an article in a magazine I liked, I wouldn't keep the magazine. I would tear the page up, and I would have then a stack of pages with either ads or information or pictures, whatever it might be. Can't do that with next issue. The other thing is, once you stop paying for next issue, those magazines go away. So if it was from an issue last year, a Wired article, and I could go, oh yeah, where was that? If I had stopped paying for it, I wouldn't have access to that. So there are upsides and downsides. They do have a large selection of magazines.
Oh yeah.
Not as large as I'd like. There are no motorcycle magazines. There's a couple of photography magazines. The more focused your interest is, the less likely you're going to find a magazine that you like. The next issue has the usual big ones: Time Magazine, Maclean's, as we said before, Vogue, Chatelaine, a lot of women's magazines.
Yeah.
For better or worse. But if you're into scrapbooking, your magazine's not going to be on the list. If you're into, again, motorcycling, there's no magazines on the list for you. So go to nextissue.com or nextissue.ca, and you can look at the entire list of magazines and count up how many of them you either already get or you would get if it was nominally for free, and to make the decision based on that. But certainly sign up for the 30-day in the U.S., nextissue.com, 60-day sign up in Canada, nextissue.ca, to see if it's of value to you. I think it's a neat way of it's certainly going to be the future of magazines. 10 years maybe, you won't be able to get paper magazines, at least of these common ones. They'll all be digital, so you can get a peek into the future. As always, send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. I love getting emails from you guys. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but mail under Mavericks is literally getting worse. It's now, for no apparent reason, decided it doesn't want to check mail on the schedule I set up. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. Wonderful. So email to onairlifeshow.com. Don't forget, send us an email if you want to win a Dodo case. Nice folks at dodocase.com. A customized Dodo case. Go to the website at dodocase.com. Build your own Dodo case. Send me a screenshot. We got a few hundred submissions already, so get yours in before next Wednesday's show. Email from Brian, our friend Brian Monroe, down there in Palo Alto, talking about coin on last week's show. My concern with what they're doing is, first off, they're charging your credit card now $50 for a product that they say they will deliver in the middle of 2014. This is not good, as it is not a Kickstarter project, but pre-orders should not be charged until you have something to ship to a customer. I'm also concerned that many merchants will not accept the card, and then you have a problem where you've left your real card at home and are not able to pay for what you purchased. Worse off in a restaurant, you will have consumed the meal and now really have a problem. Plus, if Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or any other issuer of cards outlaws it, it's a non-starter. I completely agree with the $50 thing. That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't do this. That's why I don't like Kickstarters. But this is worse than a Kickstarter because, at least in Kickstarter, once they get the funding, then they take your money. These guys are taking your money right off the bat. If they take your money and go to Fiji, you've waved goodbye to $50. I don't know if it's that much of a concern. You say that many merchants will not accept the card. I don't think most merchants are going to care. I think most merchants, as long as it swipes, they're going to be good. As long as you've got ID, now granted your card doesn't have the ID, I think most merchants, I agree with you. If it does happen, you're hooped. If you've gone to dinner, you're out on a date, you're trying to impress a girl, and you bring up this cool black card, you flip around, hand it to the waiter, and the waiter goes, "We don't accept that." Yeah, you're not getting any.
Yeah.
You're not getting any that night. Because you have to turn to her and say, "You got to pay?" Nope. She's walking home in a different direction than you. So yeah, there are lots of concerns about this.
Yeah.
I got this great email from Guy Whalen. From the subject line, I thought, uh-oh, here it goes. I'm going to get flamed. Orson Scott card. Shawn, I've been listening to your podcast for a long time. I listen because I like to hear your opinion on a lot of things. I agree with you on a lot of things. Not this one. I was like, okay, I'll put my flame retardant jammies on. Because Guy is going to be some right-wing nutbar who's about to just chew me out for being friendly to the gays. He doesn't. He says, first of all, I need to say that you have the right to have your opinion and to voice that opinion as loudly as you want for as long as people will listen to you. So, this letter is a bit of a conundrum for me because it is about that right and the belief that you have that some people shouldn't voice their opinion if you disagree with them. You and Alessandra stated in podcast 910 that people who are so popular shouldn't say what they believe if it is stupid, a relative term when it comes to beliefs. If I don't believe the same thing as you, my beliefs become stupid to you, and vice versa. Now, Guy, I don't agree with that, but I understand the point you're making. You didn't have a problem with people thinking something stupid. The problem I have with this is if they don't let us know how they really feel, how are we going to know who is worthy of our support or not? If you choose not to support Chick-fil-A because of their CEO's position, you're doing that because he spoke it out loud. Otherwise, you could go on blindly eating chicken and putting money into a business that you wouldn't support if you did know their stand. I know you're in Canada now, and I'm not sure what your free speech is like there. Just FYI, Guy, pretty much the same as in the U.S. But in America, we are free to be stupid as we want to be. Mostly in Canada, too. And the public then is free to support that stupid if they so choose. One other thing you said that didn't seem correct to me. The Orson Scott card has already been paid for the movie rights to Ender's Game, so going to see the movie doesn't put any money in his pocket. Not entirely true. If enough people go to see this movie, the movie industry will buy other books, novels from him. Thus, going to see this movie can put more money to support him. If enough people do not pay to see this movie, message to Hollywood to not purchase any more movie rights from him. Blockbusters breed sequels, flops breed bankrupt movie studios. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Yes, I'll keep listening, even if I don't always agree, Guy Whalen. Guy, great email. Fantastic email. Best email I've gotten all month. Thanks very much for sending it. When I said Orson Scott card has already been paid for the movie rights, so going to see the movie doesn't put any money into his pocket, I meant for that movie, for this particular instance. And even then I was wrong. I think I pointed out in the show that I was wrong in the sense that people will buy the book and then go see the movie, or see the movie and then buy the book. So he is still making money off of this. And it's an interesting point of view, Guy, that, yeah, but how do we get people who are stupid to voice their opinion? Well, then again, maybe the stupid don't know any better and will voice their opinion regardless. So who knows? But Guy, thanks very much for the email. I appreciate that. His shadow says, people don't seem to think that they have to deal with the consequences of holding on to stupid ideas. And this is where the disconnect lies. Yeah, I agree with you there. Louise Olson, I'm looking at buying this machine, Apple MacBook Pro 17-inch from 2010. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, 500 gigs hard drive, optical drive, built-in super drive. She says, I've been told 17-inch machines have been discontinued. Is there a downside other than weight and travel to getting this machine? I need a machine that will run Snow Leopard. The only thing, Louise, is the battery life on that machine. You say it's it's greater than 3 hours. I'm willing to bet that machine battery life won't be greater than 3 hours for a year and a half, 2 years. So you'll have to buy a new battery for that machine at some point in the future, in the near future. So factor that into your purchase price. If you're getting a good deal for it and you need that kind of screen real estate, there's nothing wrong with that machine. I had that machine for many years. Good machine. And the downside is definitely the weight. It is a cafeteria tray. It's huge, monstrous machine. If you're going to travel with that, get yourself a good backpack or a good rolly bag, because you don't want to have that on your shoulder walking through O'Hare. And from A.N. Canton, before iCloud, Apple had a great service called Gallery, which let you upload your pictures so friends and family could see them. They discontinued it. Is there another service anyone might recommend that works well? Flickr? Flickr will do a lot of really neat things. We've talked about this before. A terabyte of free storage. Sign up, you get a terabyte. It works very well with your iOS devices, uploading photos you take with your iOS device automatically to the Flickr website and automatically marking them as private. Then on Flickr, you can create different kinds of groups. You can have your photos be public, so that anybody can see them. You can have family and friends so that only people you designate can see them, or you can have them to be private. That's probably the best, simplest, easiest solution is using Flickr. And finally, Hank Humphrey. I was one of thousands hacked on MacRumors.com. I've decided to go to 1Password since so many have mentioned it quite often as being best of class. Do I have to go to each of my 100 sites I have a password for and go to password reset and then invoke 1Password? I can't find anything on their site that helps newbies, and nobody in their forum will answer their question. Yeah, Hank, it's exactly what you got to do. 1Password is a database. It will create and collect and store information for you. But like every database, creating the database is a giant pain in the ass the first time you've got to do it. But once you do it, then you don't got to worry about it again. So yeah, bite the bullet, Hank, and that's what you got to do to make it worth your while. Let's see. Monty says, I saw Ender's Game. I really like the movie. I still think Card's position on people like me is narrow-minded, shallow, and uninformed. But at the same time, I recognize that he is as entitled to his position and opinion as any other person. Ms. Keto says, the Dunning-Kruger effect reminds us that stupid people don't know how stupid they are. There are more stupid people expressing foolish opinions publicly every year. We don't need more of them. Interesting. Mosquito also says, I very much like 1Password. I have a feeling I'm not using it to its fullest. And Monty, the first time setup of 1Password is traumatic. It is. It's a pain, giant pain, first time you use it. Oh, ArcSign says 1Password is on sale 40% off for the iOS version of 1Password. I don't use 1Password on iOS because I tend not to go to password-protected websites when I'm on my iPhone or my iPad. I don't go to banking sites. I don't go to sites that need those kind of passwords. So I'm kind of safe there. That's it for tonight's show, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining. joining me. You guys being here each and every week here on Your Mac Life. Thanks very much for the SIG, for sticking it out in the IRC chat room. You were there for the whole show. I'm so proud of you. Did you learn anything?
Yeah, a lot.
Are you more
I have
comfortable with
to
IRC?
write down notes now. Yeah.
You could be the keeper of the show notes.
Oh,
Would you do
yeah.
that?
I should.
You should.
Yeah. Next time.
What we can do is whenever we have something that should go in show notes, I'll say, show notes!
Yeah.
You can write it down.
Yes.
Or type it
Yes.
out.
Let's do that. Awesome idea.
'Cause I've always been too lazy to do show notes.
Mm-hmm.
We should do that.
I like to write notes. So.
You folks in our IRC chat room can help out by yelling show notes to the SIG. And that way she'll know that I just said a URL or something. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. It's awesome.
All right,
fantastic.
Cool. That's right. Brian Moreau. We'll call it the SIG show notes.
Awesome.
Want to say again, happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish friends, and a very merry, happy Thanksgiving to all of our American friends. You guys travel safe, have a good day, relax with your family, watch a football game, enjoy yourselves. Until next week, as always, I have been Shawn King.
And this was Alessandra.
Yeah, is there anything in Italian?
Ciao. I cannot say Happy Thanksgiving in Italian because we don't have it. I can say Buone feste, good celebration.
So there's no word for Thanksgiving in Italian?
No, we don't even know it exists. Well, now I know, but
we'll make up a word.
How could I translate it? Ringraziamento.
That doesn't sound right.
And it sounds more like a Catholic thing. I don't know. It's confusing. Okay, let's say just Buone feste. It's generic for any celebration for everybody
always,
everywhere.
I've been Shawn King. Thanks for joining us. This is Your Mac Life. See ya!
Ciao!